People die in the name of science. Thousands of kids died in this program. Anybody that doesn't believe it, they're going to think we're all crazy.
Tonight we go into the Montauk Project and what happened there and why it's so significant.
My name is Christopher Garetano. I'm a movie maker and a documentarian. I spent the last 10 years researching the Montauk Project, which is the fundamental inspiration for the show Stranger Things.
The cultural phenomenon of Stranger Things may be rooted in nostalgia for 80s pop culture, but a more insidious backstory predicated on conspiracies and odd facts lurks beyond the Upside Down.
The area that Camp Hero stands has always been a strange place of interest by military in the United States. This is going back to the Revolutionary War. Fort Hero became the Camp Hero Air Force Station during World War II. It was a stronghold to defend this furthest eastern tip of the United States against either Nazi attack or attack from the Japanese.
Dr. Al BIELEK was born in 1916 as Edward Cameron. He attended Princeton University and later Harvard University, where he earned a PhD degree in physics in 1939. He and his brother Duncan joined the U.S. Navy and were assigned to the ongoing project called Project Invincibility. He remained in the Army until July 1947, when he was removed, brainwashed of all of his memory, and then given a new identity, Al BIELEK.
A German scientist who had been bypassed through the Nuremberg trials into the U.S. straight to the Brookhaven National Laboratories and worked there for 20 years until they were kicked out by Congress. And then they looked for a new home and they found it at Montauk.
So Brookhaven National Labs, which in the fictional version of this story, Stranger Things, which is Hawkins Laboratories, is further west of here.
Apparently there's an underground train that goes from Brookhaven to the underground facility at Montauk, so these places are connected. This device, before satellite technology rendered it obsolete, was the most powerful example of radar.
But the legend tells us that it was used for a lot more, that it was actually used as part of the mind control program on the mass population.
At that point, that's when it became literally a black secret project.
They wanted a large number of programmed boys to be used for mind control operations.
The idea of mind control at that time was not popular with Congress.
Preston Nichols was the guy, I guess if you want to make a Stranger Things reference, he was like the Matthew Modine character in Stranger Things. He would sit and work with these kids and try and develop their abilities.
The Montauk Boys program, basically, what they were doing, they would pick up boys, young men, off the street.
According to Al BIELEK and Preston Nichols and all these guys that say that they were at Montauk, they said that the tower was being used first to test the people locally. And eventually they were going to use this technology on the rest of the country.
They would program each individual piece for something else.
But what was the intention on the beatings and the drownings?
That was to shatter the mind.
So they can manipulate it?
Yes, they can manipulate it.
The original title of Stranger Things was Montauk. We still have all those press releases that are online. So yeah, that's, you know, they weren't making it about the beaches and the resorts, they were making it about Camp Hero. So you have this facade on top of this abandoned radar tower. You know, kids sneak in, they spray paint the place. I've seen murals of aliens. Obviously, they know about the stories. So now it's like this hangout with this legend that surrounds it. There were people in the town, and this is documented, that they were having bad dreams, they were having headaches, animals were freaking out. I mean, this stuff really happened. After the kids were brutalized and brought through this trauma where they were injected with heavy hallucinogenic drugs, they were physically abused, I mean, traumas that you couldn't even imagine. So once they went through all of this trauma and they were completely obliterated, their personalities were gone. Now they were ready for programming.
They would use drugs like LSD because they were trying to find the combination that would create an altered state that allowed easy downloading of the programming.
Sunflower. 3 to the right, 4 to the left, rainbow. 450. 3. Sunflower.
After Montauk boys were traumatized, Preston Nichols was a man who would rebuild them back into these kind of, these mind-controlled soldiers. And then they would be passed on to Alfred BIELEK, who would enhance their psychic abilities. He would work with them. He would teach them remote viewing, teach them telekinetic abilities.
Nobody was sure of exactly what the Montauk boys trained for. Many of them were used as spies.
They were set out, put back in the public as like Manchurian candidate soldiers.
There's another major part of the program which was swept under the rug was if a lot of the kids were psychics, and they descended on this and trained them as psychics.
The Montauk chair was a device that derived from alien technology, according to Preston Nichols and his own knowledge of electronics, that it can manifest thought into physical reality. But you needed a powerful psychic to sit in the chair, so Duncan Cameron was that man who sat in the Montauk chair. Duncan Cameron is basically 11. And at first they would think of inanimate objects like a ball or a glass that they could actually manifest into reality using this technology. Eventually, the project got heavy, according to BIELEK and Nichols, and they manifested a creature. But when Al BIELEK, Preston Nichols, and Duncan Cameron met in room 1 of the Memory Motel, they claimed that they devised a plan to take the entire project down, to obliterate it, because they wanted to stop it.
What I wanted to have done, and we all agreed, was for Duncan to materialize something like that, even though it wasn't fully physical. It would scare the bejesus out of the, out of the top people, and they'd shut it down.
Duncan Cameron got into the chair. He thought of a monster that they called Junior. In the show it's called the Demigorgon.
Initialize sequence start.
Junior tore apart the base, scared everybody, destroyed things, chased people down, and the Montauk Project was shut down. And that's the story these guys have been telling for, 30 years? Al BIELEK took the story to his grave.
The warfare that is going on this planet is unbelievable. You've got psychic warfare, you've got religious warfare, but people can change history. History is not cast in stone.
Every time I look a little further, I meet a new person that, there's the possibility that the craziest stuff might be true. But my focus has been on the Montauk Boys program. I believe 100% it happened. And if you need anything, just research, first, I would say Holmesburg Prison. Research some of the public hearings in 1995 where Bill Clinton apologized for these experiments.
America does remember the hundreds of men used in research without their knowledge and consent. And they were lied to.
Research a woman named Christina DiNicola, who claimed that it wasn't just radiation experiments, but mind manipulation experiments.
I was a subject in radiation, as well as mind control and drug experiments performed by a man I knew as Dr. Green. His objective was to gain control of my mind and train me to be a spy assassin.
And so there's some very credible people that you can pay attention to. So instead of just saying, oh, there's just no way that can happen. How could you say that? We have evidence that it happened.
I'm not a liar because I believe what I'm saying. It's up to you. Whether you're going to believe it or you don't believe it, doesn't make any difference to me.
Urban explorers still venture into Camp Hero on Long Island, where some claim you can still hear the screams in the abandoned tunnels. And the truth about Camp Hero and what happened there continues to be concealed beneath multiple layers of rumor, myth, and the fiction of Stranger Things.
I think the gentleman that I spoke to over the years did see Stranger Things. And a couple of them claim that this is all part of a continuous kind of mind control on mass population. So according to them, Stranger Things is mind control on you, on me, all of us. We're getting really close to discovering the truth in Montauk, while this is the most popular show perhaps in the world right now. Weird, right?
Yeah, there are ladder rungs that actually go down, so the official word is that there's nothing underneath the ground, and it's just not true, and there's plenty of evidence.